All right, moderators, do what you do, please. So glad to have everyone here. You guys want to probably ping somebody in today. We're going to talk about some things that are going to be really good. Those of you on Facebook as well, come on in, get yourself set up, grab your partners and your friends, and let them know that we're here and we're live. Um, Somebody ping in Pastor Leslie, someone ping in Pastor Spencer, someone ping in Radiant. Looking for Radiant, yes. I think this will help a lot of us. It's going to be a long series, all week long series on Elohim structure of the Torah Observant Kingdom Minded family. All right, let's get started. Yahweh, we come before you in the mighty, in the precious, in the matchless name of Yahushua HaMashiach. We ask you to, for one, hear our heart and our cry, that we repent for any and all sins, every thought and every idea that is not like you in our lives. We're asking you now to take it from us. We say to you, your word is the convictor of our soul. Your word is that which literally has the ability to discern what is right and what is wrong. And we bow before you in light of that. And we rest in the laurels of your Torah. And we're asking you today, by the power of your spoken and written word, that you would guide us, help us to see what's right, what's wrong. And again, Yahweh, we just take opportunity to repent in advance for all convictions you bring our way. There is none like you in all the earth. And we're asking you to keep us for, in, and toward your glory. This is our earnest prayer. And we magnify you now, both this hour and in the hours yet to come. Let now your Adonai have preeminence in this place. Your word take over. I decrease everything that is of reputation of VWJ Ministries, whether it's celebrity or whatever you might call it, Father, authority, whatever it may be. I render it all to you. I count it as dung, and I count knowing you more worthy than any intellect and any title a man could ever have. And I ask you now that if you have an audience with me and I an audience with you, please speak through this vessel and these other vessels on this ministry platform to share what your truth about family and your kingdom represents. We ask this in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Let only Adonai reign here and rule here. No thoughts of man that do not connect with your Torah, your writ. This I pray in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. We say and pray. Amen. All right, everybody, it's good to be with you. Good to have you here today. Let us prepare our hearts to get started. Good to be with you, Dana. Good to see you. You guys might want to just tap somebody in. It's always good to do. Good to have you with us, Miss Taylor. All right. Hey there, Shirley Love. All of you who are here, there's someone I wanted to make sure we get. Someone tap in, Brother Eugene. Someone tap in, my dear sister Grice. Tap in also those who we know are usually here. It's going to be something worth our while to encounter today. So I'm not sure what moderator is going to be helping me and assisting me today in this process of doing what we do here on the proceeding word. But I'm going to believe and trust that we are ready to rock and roll. And so I want you to think on this. Everybody's going to get probably a microphone to come up because this subject is not just something that we want to just teach about. This is something we want to talk about. Yes, we're going to teach in the talk, and the talk will be teaching. But we also want to make sure that we are understanding what all it is and how all it affects everything that we do. Okay, so let's look to get deep into this today. All right, Minister Jackie, shalom to you. Hi there, Adrian Morris. Good to be with you. Wanda, good to be with you as well. Wanda Clark and Wanda Floyd. Let's pray. Let's begin our day, I should say. And Yahweh makes it very clear that there are certain things that he wants done. Now, we're going to begin with a very quick announcement of what we are, who we are, and then we're going to come back and get right into the word of Elohim. All right, moderators, are you ready?
Yahweh be praised, and shalom to every single one of you today, and welcome to the preceding word, where the topic today is the structure of Torah Observant Kingdom Minded Family. And as we present this topic today, we will be looking at when to make intentional efforts, and who does training up a child or a children, and what are the true instruction foundations of family that stay together. And another consideration, what does the creator of the family have to say? Just to note that here in the preceding word, we present every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't done so already, just take the opportunity to ping and invite somebody into this room. You can do so if you're on Clubhouse, down by the arrows down there. Also, just to put up a note about the preceding word while you're here, just our Bible study, which commences at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, you are invited to come to that. So please, also, we want to know that you are welcome. Also, to know that all of our topics, themes have been uploaded to Facebook, and you can access that by going to VWJ Ministries on Facebook. And also, if you continue to like the aspect of studying the word, we want to extend an invitation for you to join us under the Bible Book Club. That's every Thursday at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we continued a topic and discussion around Genesis 12. You do not want to miss that. And even if you think that you might have missed something out, just go back over to Facebook and access those recordings. Just to note that we are here today under the preceding word, and should you want to participate in this discussion, we take the formality of inviting everybody up onto the platform. If you have a thought or a question, just come off mic and we will put you into queue. Also, if you're on Facebook, please add your comments and your questions there. We also honor the Sabbath here, so every Friday at 11 p.m. and then we continue at Saturday at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning, where we open up our Sabbath studies, where all we do is go into Torah. So if you would like to join us, please do take up that invitation. Take note of what's going on in these clubs. Don't forget to follow Apostle, like, and also follow the Preceding Word Club so you can be notified every time we open up a room here in Clubhouse. And as we know, we are a fully operational ministry, and as such we have our Sunday services, which are every Sunday at 10:15 a.m. in the morning. That's our morrow after Sabbath service, and we extend the invitation to you to join us here in Clubhouse, but you will find us live broadcasting on Facebook at VWJ Ministries. We want to say it's a pleasure for you to be here with us today. Don't forget to share this room. Don't forget to ping somebody in if you haven't done so. And just before I hand back over to Apostle, we also have visibility on Instagram, and you'll find us there at VWJ Ministries. Thank you, Apostle. Back to you.
Also, I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be with you all here today, and to know there are ways that Yahweh has set things up and given us hope, help, strength, and life. And I'm going to show this because I want it to be done this way forever. Thank you to our dear moderators. We do have what we call the best mods, and that's how that should go. All right. So now I want you to prepare your hearts, and let's get into what Yahweh says. Now there is this thing called kingdom. Now, how many of y'all got a chance to enjoy yesterday's message on church versus kingdom? Did anybody?
Amen. Very good. Amen. Amen. I love it.
Good.
Hallelujah.
So you know that everybody in the church is not in the kingdom, right? And everybody in the kingdom and everybody speaking kingdom doesn't understand kingdom. Y'all know that, right?
Yes, sir.
Now that's two different things. Everybody in the church building, temple, synagogue, house of God, tent, everybody in the church building where people are gathered about God are not in the kingdom, not in the body of Messiah. And everybody now, because kingdom has become a new buzz phrase, Everybody talking about kingdom, 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 kingdom doesn't understand kingdom. Now, we're not saying that we got this corner on it, but we want to make sure that you understand that there are some people really killing it with the kingdom. I mean, really killing it is a bad way to put that, but they're nailing it right on the head with kingdom. But there are so many. It's just it's a new buzz phrase. It's like Pentecost was years ago. Oh, we're in the new, the glory cloud of God, of Yahweh. It's just a new catchphrase that we're using. So kingdom suddenly has become one of those catchphrases. So everybody talking kingdom doesn't understand kingdom to live it. It's just a new way of saying church in this season. Kingdom is a lifestyle, and kingdom lifestyle is based on Torah, the understanding of the word, understanding of his writ. So here on the preceding word, which is premised, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is our Elohim. So I want us to really grab this and put this to bear in our own hearts. Good to see you, West Coast. Good to see. Hey, Simone, blessed. Good to be with you. Minister Phillips, shalom aleichem. All right. Now, let's talk about this. There is a institution that is known as family. Now, it's a very real thing, and I want to take us slowly through the Torah for the next 3 days to help us understand what it means to have family Elohim's way, family by Elohim's design. And I'll touch a little bit about marriage by Elohim's design, and the another part we'll talk about parenting by Elohim's design, because we've all found out that there is no real book for marriage. There is, but there is there, and we've been told secularly that there is no real book for parenting, and the people who wrote them, well, their books have proven not to be what you do, because their own children didn't do what they wrote in the books, and so that discredits it, right? It does. No disrespect and total respect for all that transpired, but it apparently it don't work. You put it out there in your own, it just don't work. Now, here's the thing, but there is a book that tells us all of these things if we take time to pay attention. And it's not just the Bible. That's the book for me. It is the Torah. And I want us to understand again the significance that man shall not live by bread alone, but he shall live by the words, every word that flows from the mouth of Yahweh, who is our Elohim. Now, I want you to get this, because it gets really, really, really good for us. Now, let me talk to you about, let's go back to the beginning, the origin of family, and then I'm going to talk about what we've mentioned in our description today about raising up children. What does it mean to train up a child? What does it mean for this, that, or the other? So in the first place we're going to run to is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. And the Bible goes on to declare, he says, verse number 6, he says, train up a child in the way that the child should go, that when the child gets older, the child will not depart from it. In this, you see a admonishment of a commandment we're going to read, and you also see an admonishment of and or a prophecy of that would happen later in the storyline of the prodigal son, okay, or daughter, right? I don't care how you use it. Any child can be prodigal. You were prodigal. I was prodigal. Shoot, for that matter, we still might be prodigal. You know what I mean? No, but anyway, so here's the catch. So when it says train up a child in the way that that child should go, that when they get older, they will not depart from it. It does not mean that they will not, remain, perfectly unscathed and remain completely 100% holy. It will mean that they're going to try some things, but they will not depart to a state where they are just completely perverted, and that is all that they see, and they no longer care, like you see today with many of our young people who are like, look, I believe what I believe. I don't care what you think, what you believe. And this is just the way it is for me. You don't have to like it. And I don't care about respecting you as an adult or someone older than me or my elder. I just, look, forget you. You human, just like I'm human. And we just have no respect. So when you train up a child in the way that that child should go, the child will not depart from that. Watching the child and understanding how to feed that child admonishments of righteousness for the thing they find most appealing to them. Watch that, parents. Finding a thing that your child finds appealing to them and then getting ahead of that thing and coaching them through it using the morality code, using the actual morality compass of the Torah to get them through, whether it's being a trumpeter, whether it's an instrumentalist, a musician, whether it is them being a artist with paint and drawings, or maybe a writer, an artist in that way. Maybe it may be an athlete, it may be a engineer, it may be a physician, whatever it is. You, the parent, watch your child, what they gravitate towards, and then you get ahead of them, facilitating every possible laboratory for their ideal of discovery, and then make sure that you are infusing the Torah and the compass of its morality to keep that child in line with the compass of morality. Because you're living Torah. And as you're teaching them, coaching them, letting them tell you where they're going, and then you getting in front of them and saying, well, this is where this particular genre you're thinking about ends up. This is where it has certain potentials. And that's where you and I become the appropriate types of parents for our children. But let's just get back to the core of this. Even though we just brought up Proverbs chapters number 22, verse 6, train up a child in the way that they should go. When that child gets older, it will not, she will not, he will not depart from that way, because it's what they gravitate to. And if you can help coach them in what they're gravitating to, they will make the decision to be with it or to not be with it. But either way, because they selected it and you support their selection, as long as it's not something crazy, then in fact, they won't forget, even if they decide to leave that genre. Now they have ancillary knowledge, jack of all trades, they'll be a master of one. All right, now, Proverbs chapter number 6, 22, verse 6, train up a child in the way he should go when he's old, will not depart from it. Now walk with me, because Yahweh has given us this structure. There's a Torah structure of family. Now, I came into this with the parenting because many of us are having problems as a counselor, and I take on a lot of counseling cases. We have our children, and many of us within the church world, Christendom, are having major problems with our children. Well, it's because we don't understand the family, the Torah family that Yahweh has set up, the foundation for the family that Yahweh set up. So let's go back to the beginning and let's really break it down. Are you prepared to do that? Y'all with me over there today in Clubhouse and on Facebook? Can I get an amen? Whoop, whoop, let's go. Let it get it, whatever we need to do, however it got to be said. Genesis, Bereshit, let's get there. Come on. Bereshit, chapter number 1. And we're going to go down to verse number 28. Now, many of you have read this a million times. Well, maybe not a million times, but quite a few times. Genesis 1:28. Let's go down and see what Yahweh says. So you know that in Genesis chapter number 1, based on the fact that chapter 1 is about the epitome of the book of beginnings, because it's about the creation, the 6 days of creation. Chapter 1 is about the 6 days of creating everything on the earth, the eretz that Yahweh's given us. Now, here is where that becomes extremely interesting, because in the 5th day, Elohim had put a blessing on all the creatures and all the beasts and all the fowl of the air that were made from the waters. Everything in the waters had a blessing put on it. Yahweh meant that for very good reason. So now if we get past day 5 and we come into day 6, let's look at what he says in verse number 26. So we'll go to Bereshit 1, Genesis 1:26. He goes on to say, and Elohim said, let us now make man in our image. Let's make man after our likeness, and let the human that we make have dominion just like us, but he'll have dominion not over all of the Eretz, but he'll have dominion specifically over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Elohim created humanity in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him, male and female created he them. Verse 28, watch this. This is the beginning of family. And Elohim baruch them, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And then Elohim begins to explain what he's done in verses 29, 30, and 31. So we know that Yahweh gave a command for humanity to specifically multiply and replenish itself in the earth. We are technically trees of righteousness. We are like the trees that he made that have fruit that we produce, and that fruit has seed in it to reproduce itself. Yep, I'm pausing for effect. That was pretty cool, wasn't it? Listen, that's pretty deep. So Yahweh has us in this understanding that there are things he wants to have done. The family is a foundation of how we all accomplish in the earth the will of the Father. Why do we know that? Well, there's another passage, Psalms 133, and we just thought it was about just good colleagues, friends, community. But it's really about family. It's really about Torah, and it's really about Shabbat. This is really deep. Watch. He tells us, he says, oh, how good and pleasant it is for brethren. Well, the phrase brethren there would actually indict family, whether it's a family of flesh and blood or the family of faith. Oh, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together. You're living. If you're dwelling together, you're living. If you're living in the same space, you are technically categorized as family. And so in the ideal of family, you are, again, humans who have the right to do whatever they want to do, but by course of relating with each other, you develop a community with each other, and you should look out for each other so your community has sustainability, your community can grow and literally expand itself, because we're multiplying, we're replenishing the earth, and we are literally going to need to expand because everybody can't be in the same space. So family was a real element from the very beginning. What we've done with it, how we've understood it, it's really ambiguous, but there is a clear and certain pathway that Yahweh wants. I do not advocate that the blood, watch this, in the family, you treat it and say, as it were, blood is thicker than water, and then you just treat blood just because they're blood the way that your family you hold dear and love should be treated, because everybody who's your blood, everybody has their own agenda. If you're family to me by how you and I operate, and we have Messiah to prove that too. You might say, well, you're taking us into two different directions. I'm really not. I just want to make sure you understand the balance of this and don't get caught up in that unfortunate doctrine that did get pushed forward by the Catholic Church, which gave us Christendom. And we as Christians have made that statement, blood is thicker than water, more than any other nationality, more than any other any other religion on the planet. And that's where we sometimes can get ourselves in trouble by doing too much for people who don't care for us the way we would care for them. That's why Messiah said this: who is my mother? Who is my brother? Then he says, they that do the will of Elohim. That's my mother. That's my brother. That's my family. Are y'all getting that? Yeah, that's very powerful. And so now let's go here to understand something. Yahweh did tell them in the Torah, the first commandment that Yahweh actually gives wasn't, don't eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The first of the 613 commandments that Yahweh gave was actually to be fruitful and multiply and fill the land and conquer the land and rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and the animals that move upon the earth. That's the actual first commandment of Yahweh our Elohim to humanity. Now, you and I have this thing called the 10 Commandments. And so since we've used the 10 Commandments so freely and openly, and matter of fact, iconically, as it relates to the 613 mitzvahs or the 613 commandments of Elohim, that we just say the first of the 10 commandments is the first commandment given. Clearly, we know it's not. And then some of us have made the error and made it say that the first commandment was Yahweh telling humanity, don't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And that's not true either. The first commandment was to be fruitful and multiply and have dominion over the Adoma that I've given you. All right. Now, that's a good place to take a break and to think about that. So what we're going to do is make our business here to talk about that. Now, why is that important? Because that's how Yahweh, in fact, wants the family of humanity to actually dwell together in unity. You are to have dominion, right? But you have to have it together, because it was humanity that the charge and the subsequent blessing would fall upon when humanity tilled, T-I-L-L-E-D, the ground, rather than killed, as we are presently doing today, killed the ground. We are not tilling it, we're mining it. And there's a difference in tilling and mining and extracting and extrapolating from this precious, vulnerable, very rich in resource earth. And if you really think about it, it reminds you of the women of humanity's species, because they are always misused, always extracted, always people digging into them and extracting from them their resource and who they are and what they are. Look at the parallel. Mother Earth, mother of life. Always being pushed down, held down, told to do, sit over here, walked on, stepped on emotionally, sometimes physically. But Mother Earth can pack a mean blow. She can have an earthquake and shut everything down. Mother Earth, don't keep messing with Mother Earth. She will have an earthquake and shut everything down. And so are the women of the human species, the female factor. If they shouldn't, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And so if they decide to just shake this mess up, though, they will shake up everything, and every man, every human will have to bow down and be like, hey, y'all better pay attention for something go left. Now, let's talk about family. I just want to give that little fun fact. Now, so when Yahweh says, be fruitful and multiply, that's the first commandment to humanity. And then we have the fact that in that commandment, it gives an indictment and a proper layout for what family will do when family's together. Now, let me ask you guys a question, because in this, you're going to learn about marriage. Next, I'm going to talk about marriage on Wednesday, not today. I'll probably touch it and shave something off and give you some little, breadcrumbs off of that. But I talk about marriage more on Wednesday. But today, I want to talk about the family structure and how it went left. Because what we don't realize is that Yahweh gave dominion over the earth to humanity who would reproduce itself, family, right? Now, and in that, those that dwell together, work together, flow together, get this land tilled rightly and expanded rightly, and therefore Yahweh's kingdom in the earth is always going to have, as I love to say, the preeminence, but a very visual presence on the planet. And that's the ultimate goal. And I want everyone to please, let's put aside all of our spirituality, because you can't get more spiritual than this practical scenario. So when Yahweh tells us, I want humanity to have dominion over the earth, but first, before you have humanity, if y'all want to just join me real quick and I can make this point even clearer, just go back to Genesis, go back to Bereshit chapter 1, go with me to verse number 28. 27 says Yahweh created man, male and female created he them. Verse 28 says Elohim blessed them. Listen, he baruched them. And the first thing he says is have dominion over the earth. Is that what he said? Okay, so y'all not reading with me. Okay, so let me just read it because I know y'all probably at work and shopping, and this is just a preceding word on a Monday. So let me tell you what he said. I actually misread that on purpose. He did not say have dominion over the earth. That was in the first thing he said. The first thing he said was be fruitful and multiply yourselves. Setting the order, laying the foundation for family. And if you do what he said, the family should walk in this upper echelon of all things Adoma. Just pay attention. Don't put on our spiritual hats. Don't put on your Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterian hat, Anglican hat. Don't put it on. Not today. Just look at the writ. So when Yahweh says, be fruitful, multiply, reproduce yourselves. Okay? Pardon me. I have to sneeze. Oh, thank you, Father. I gotta let that out next time, but it just sounds so ratchet if I do it. But here's the catch, Yahweh bless my heart. None of y'all gonna say bless your heart? None of y'all? Nobody's gonna say Yahweh bless his heart. That's fine. I remember. I will remember it.
Yahweh bless your heart.
I will remember that. Okay, so he tells humanity, you must first reproduce yourself. Be plenteous in people, multiply, and plenish the earth. Replenish the earth. Then he says, have dominion over these items. So you and I can't get dominion over these items as a singular entity. We must become the plurality that he desires, and we must become the human species working together to have dominion where we are now in the echelon, the upper echelon of all things Adoma. Does that make sense, Zion? All right, so I'm going to keep moving because I want us to really take this slow in stride. So when we talk about, okay, so when does in fact the when does it become a real issue for us in the family structure to train up a child? When does it become a real issue and an intentional push at educating our children that we're supposed to be having? Now, I want to share this with you because there are some commandments that Yahweh has given unto us, and he's very clear about, just like he was clear about replenish the earth, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth. He wants me to be fruitful, replenish the earth. So we're not supposed to be, unfortunately, dealing with, watch this, because I'm guilty of this. We're not supposed to be actually, and we're hurting ourselves. We're hurting our family structures because of the element and the issue of abortion. So this is real sensitive to me because I was responsible for 4 abortions of seed Yahweh put in me that never got opportunity to live a life, and they probably are a great deal of my heritage and lineage in the earth, but because I didn't know any better, and because our world has gotten away from Torah, and we started following this eugenics cycle and this population control issue, Yahweh don't need us to be population control. Yahweh needs us to be purpose driven. His purpose driven. So when you and I decide, well, I'm not going to have no children because it just gets, we can't afford to have children. No, his commandment says be fruitful and multiply. He didn't tell you to count your fruit. He told you to be fruitful. So every seed he put in you and every seed he put in me, I have come to understand this day. Yahweh intended to be walking on this earth. So every egg and every ovary that was functional, they should have been producing, and because they should have been connecting with the seed that was also swimming and functioning upstream. And we felt again this eliteness. We felt again this entitlement to tell Yahweh, no, I'm not having no more babies. No, we don't need no more children. And Yahweh's like, no, I said be fruitful and multiply.
Wow.
Your wealth is in your seed. And I got to come to terms with that every day now that I understand kingdom. I stifled 4 of my own seed. Who knows what they would have become? All because eugenics and Planned Parenting and all these other elements said, we only need to pay, every human in America needs to have 2.3 children. What the heck is a 0.3 child? Does anybody know? I don't know what a 0.3 is. I know that somebody tried to say I was 3/5 of a man, but that devil's a liar too. So who came up with this idea? It wasn't Elohim, because he don't make 0.3 of a thing. He makes a whole thing. And so Yahweh says, be fruitful and multiply. So I'm assuming every seed and every egg he had sitting in those holsters, whether it was a masculine holster or a feminine holster, whether it was a fallopian tubes, or whether it was in the scrotum, that Yahweh wanted those items to match up and all of them to be utilized so that the earth could be revitalized. And we are not ever going to get where Yahweh first intended us to be on this planet, because we have left that purpose he gave us for a process we ourselves desired and decided to do. We made popular the idea of population control. We did that because we know so much, because of course we ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So when we talk about the family and the family intention of the Father, we got to go back to the beginning. Yahweh's command was very clear. Be fruitful, multiply. Did he tell you to count how many children you had? No, he did not. As a matter of fact, he knew there's plans for you that every son or daughter you would have with your additional procreator, who you conjugate with, who you would come together with. There is a purpose for that child in your life. Children really are a blessing. They are not a nuisance. They are an empowerment to a couple, because they sit, watch this, in a literal business capacity. Now, people are going to say, Apostle, we were doing good, because I thought you were going to talk traditional about family. I don't want to talk traditional about family. That's why we're in trouble. I want to talk intentional about family. Now, I was talking with an evangelist earlier today, and a phrase that just stuck in my head. We've been talking about it. You've always said it. But a phrase stuck in my head that they were like, I realized that when we start talking about paying attention, sometimes I can't pay attention when I'm working. And so I said to them, I said, you're right about that, because, not that you're trying not to pay attention, but in order to pay attention, you must be intentional about paying attention. Because if you just come because, they're having class, or, they're having the preceding word, or, they're having Sabbath worship, I'm going to show up and just hang around. But if you're not intentional for why you're there, there's no way you can pay attention. Paying attention must be intentional. So I want y'all to, if you can, be intentional for the next 15 minutes. And I promise to let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. When you take the opportunity to do the will of the Father, everything you need is in his plan. Some of us who have done the things we've done, and there are dynamics to this. Please know that I'm extremely sensitive to all the dynamics of against the law incest at this stage and phase of life and this era of time and this dispensation of time, as well as the assault of rape and all the other things that go on with producing children. I am aware, and there are exceptions to every rule, but for the general, with the diabolical, demonic plan of eugenics. And if you don't know what eugenics is, please go study it. I'm not going to break it down for you here on the proceeding word unless y'all make it a request. Can you please teach on eugenics? I'll do it. And eugenics has birthed what we call Planned Parenting. And if you believe, because the First Baptist Church of America and all of its subsidiaries in each city that it's in has supported and condones Planned Parenting, I want you to understand, I'm not coming for First Baptist, but Planned Parenting is not Yahweh's plan for parenting. Yahweh's plan for parenting is to have children when you are married, when you have your mate, have children. I'm talking Torah, not church. Okay, so when we understand this, that when a man and a woman are put together and they are given a command to have children, they are making a covenant to build a life together. I want to go back to what we said in Bereshit chapter 1, verse 28. Listen, Elohim baruch them. He said, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and have dominion. Now, why did, I want someone to answer this. I want someone to come off mute and answer this, and moderators get ready, because I'm going to give you the floor to take a break so I can breathe, because I feel Ruach coming up in my spirit. Listen, in my soul, listen. I need y'all to catch this now. Why did Yahweh make the first human in day 6 when he had created everything out of Adoma except man? What was his reasoning? What did he say would cause him to make humanity? Say your name, come off mute, say your name, and tell me what Yahweh said.
Rogers.
Come on, Rogers, we ain't got all day. What you got?
We don't have a man to till the ground.
So we don't have a man to till the ground. So what all right, great, Elder Rogers. Thank you for helping out. Listen, somebody else, get ready to come off of mute. I know y'all know the answers. Don't be intimidated because Apostle's asking. I've come to understand that there's an issue with that. I don't want you to ever feel intimidated because I asked a question. I really want to just draw out your thinking. Whether it's right or wrong, we want to draw out your thinking so everybody and yourself and myself can benefit from it. So here's the next question. Yahweh said, let us make man, right? And the reason he said, let us make man, was he did not have a man to till the ground. So somebody else answer this question for me. Come off of mute, say your name, and we'll put you in queue. Why do you think he said, come, let us make man, to handle the management of the planet? What essence do you think he was drawing from in that?
Jackie.
Minister Jackie, go, beloved.
Was it not as a representative of Yahweh being here on the earth?
That's good. That's good. I can accept that, but it's not the answer. But you are definitely nailed it on the head. He does want representation of himself in the earth. Now, granted, everything in the earth is representing him, but he specifically said, make this time whoever. See, because before there was a dominion keeper. There was something that had dominion in the worlds prior to the earth as we know it today. I don't know if it was T-Rex. I don't know if it was, a raptor, whatever it was, it had dominion. But Yahweh says this time, when we populate the earth and we draw from the sea and we draw from the Adoma, I want something like us to have dominion over the Adoma. That's basically what Yahweh has said, and we are not being subjective here. We are not eisegeting on that. So he does want his representation in the earth. Well, it's already in the earth because he is it. So very good answer. But what do you think it was? Do you think it was about Yahweh needing to have a child? Anybody? Why do you think he said, let us make a human to manage the ground? I'm gonna give you 5 seconds. Somebody come off mute. 1,000. 2,000. 3,000. I heard Rogers, and who else? Angela, hold that thought. I'm going to come to you in a second. Rogers, go.
Maybe I'm thinking too much, but he knew that that man would fall, and then before the foundations of the earth, there was a body that was prepared, and then for that body that.
I don't know what church you went to, but I'm cutting that answer off. I don't know what church you was at all day yesterday. They made you come on my program and give all them churchy answers. I told you to do away with them Polly and Esther's. We're going to have a yard sale for you. I want Polly and Esther out your closet. You hear me?
And I want all the proceeds.
That was exactly. No, it's a yard sale. We're giving it away. You can't even sell it. No. I heard what you said, Elder Rogers. That is not the answer. But did he know humanity would fall? Yeah, that's a different conversation altogether. Why does Yahweh say, I don't have a manager to till the ground? Thank you, Elder Rogers. Angela, I believe it was.
Shalom. I believe that he wanted man to come and till the ground to make flesh form that carried his mission. So that's what I believe, because when he spoke of men, make male and female, he was speaking of them. He created us in a spiritual form. I don't know if I'm on the right track.
Yeah, you went to church with Elder Rogers yesterday, and all y'all went to Denny's after, and y'all exchanged hats, them Polly and Esther hats. That's what y'all did. So I don't know. One of y'all need to give back the other person their shawl, and I guess the shoes much a match too. But y'all did that really nice. That was pretty cool. At least y'all was unified in your. I'm just messing with you. No, but that's a very serious conversation you're having, Angela. But that is not the answer to this question. So let me help the answer. Maybe I should have posed it better. What I want to really know is this something Yahweh did out of a feeling, or does this sound like a business contract?
This is Paige.
Paige?
I was thinking, he said he wanted to make man in his own image.
Right.
So I'm thinking it's more of a business type thing, because that's like tilling the ground, managing the ground, managing the.
I tried to give the hint. He wants man. He's asking. He's wanting a manager. Get it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Ager.
Right, a manager to manage.
He wants to manage what he has. It's a job, y'all. Humanity exists not to be children, but to be managers of what he says he wants. He has what he has. This is something he has, and he wants man to manage it. And we've been killing our heritage instead of tilling our wealth. I'm pausing for a second.
Okay. Wow.
So the whole concept of family was never about this love fest, because he is love. The issue was, I gave you a job. I gave you one job. It's about business. So if making humanity is about business, then the reflection of men and women, masculine and feminine, creating offspring is also a part of a business construct.
Wow.
Our families are our wealth. You don't believe me? Let me just bring your minds into something you can think about, and then I'm gonna give you all a break. Moderators, get ready to come on. Watch this. Who are the Bilderbergs? I'm sorry. Who are the Fords? I'm sorry. Who are the Forbes? I'm sorry. Who are the Vanderbilts? I'm sorry. Who are the Kennedys? I'm sorry. Who is the Queen? What's the family? The Queen's name? The monarchy over there. Do you get what I'm going with this?
Yes, sir.
Makes sense now.
It's family, business, the Morgans, the Chase. Family is about business. And somebody got us twisted in thinking family was about surviving. Family was about creating and developing what Yahweh left for us to mine and to till and create within. And you need employees once you've hired a CFO and a CEO. So Yahweh, the owner, needs an executive officer. He needs a financial officer. He needs an operations manager. He needs a environmentalist. He needs an engineer. He needs whatever other type of IT and what have is out there. And that's where your children come in. So if we would have been wise before we were younger, so we can't go back now, but we can do until he comes, is to occupy the way he wants. Your marriage should never been about love. Love comes when you fall in love with what you two built.
Okay. Wow.
So when you build something with someone and there are others you could potentially build with, but you've done some schoolwork with this group and a little, volcano build and a little science project and a little home economic project with 3 other classmates from 3 other classes and 3 other different genres. But yet you find the guy you work with in science, the girl you work with in home ec, they seem to really, y'all jobs always got A's and A pluses and y'all had each other's back. See, that's how you build. And from that, you think about what you did and you're like, you know what? I don't want to build anything else with anybody else. I have success with you. And then you love what you built. And you love it so much, you begin to appreciate what you built. And now you realize I don't click with anybody else like this. It's got nothing to do with looks. It's got nothing to do with gut. It's got nothing to do with weight. It's got nothing to do with bald hair. It's got nothing to do with alopecia. Got nothing to do with buck teeth. Got nothing to do with eyeballs. Got nothing to do with eczema. It's got nothing to do with any physical feature. It has everything to do with how our brains click. That's why women are more intellectually locked in than most men are. Men are watching the visual, the features, because now they see mammary glands, they see glutes, they see lips, they see what gets them going because they're visual. Women, they need to hear a plan so they can move and start doing things. And so when you get with someone, watch this, that actually gets how you think, and you can build something that sustains where you two are at, and you don't have to be supported by any other entity other than your connection. Now you want to reproduce out of that. You want to duplicate him, woman. You want to have her help to adorn the new you, sir. And that makes a better product of the two of your union. And now you have y'all don't hear me yet. Now you have a child who now, watch this. If the two, male and the female, understand what they've built, put something together and locked in on that. Once they've made success with this, maybe took another project and got success with that. And now the husband says, I want me in you. And she says, I want to give you another child. I want to duplicate you. And I'm saying as a man, I want you to adorn me. So here's the deal. Let us now have children who at least will have this that we completed in their minds once they come out. Now, when that child comes out, listen, don't get lost. When that child comes out, they will gravitate either to the engineering that's about him, or they'll gravitate to the business accountability, which is about her. And now you follow where the child gravitates to, and then the both of you get ahead of that, having your own experience of success and guide them rightly, giving them the ability to expand what you guys have done. I wish I could talk to about 15 people, but I'm going to take a break and let the minister come and tell y'all why we here.
Wow. That was good to me. Thank you.
Woo.
Moderator.
Yahweh be praised. Well, I hope everybody has grabbed their pen and paper and making notes, because you are in the preceding word. And don't forget that the topic today is Elohim's structure, the structure of the Torah Observant, kingdom-minded family. If you haven't done it already, do ping somebody in the room, or it's not too late to share this topic, whether on Facebook or here in Clubhouse. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want to extend an invitation for you to join us on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Bible study. That is at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we broadcast live on Facebook and here in Clubhouse. And if you are really a Bible scholar and really want to know more about the topics and the themes of the Torah, why don't you join us on Thursday for the Bible Book Club, where we are taking a very slow and exhaustive read through the book of Genesis. And we are about Genesis 12. We broadcast at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have not had the availability to access all of those recordings, you can do so by going over to VWJ Ministries at Facebook, where you can access all of Apostles' recordings, as well as those in the Bible Book Club. Also to note, we are here every Sabbath as we commence our Sabbath study from 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll pick up our studies again on Saturday at 11 a.m., where we are exclusively in the Torah, and that's all we do. We talk and we study about the Torah, so do come and join us. And we also want to extend a warm welcome to you. If you've not been in this house before, do click on the greenhouse so you can become part of the Preceding Word family, and also to join us in our Morrow After Sabbath service every Sunday at 10:15 a.m. in the morning, where we broadcast through Clubhouse, but we open up our live service on Facebook at WJ Ministries. Don't forget, just as I hand over to Apostle, do ping and share. And if you would like to add a comment, please, we extend the invitation for you to join us on the platform. Just come off mic, announce your name, and we will put you in queue. Thank you so much, Apostle.
And thank you so very much as well. Well, we're glad to be here with you guys again. I'm hoping that this has been of edification to you. Listen, before the break came, did anybody think about what we...
You're on mute, Apostle.
Thank you. We're glad to be back with you guys. And thank you again for being a great moderator to us, Minister Jackie, and getting that information over to you. How many of y'all took time to think about that portion of how Yahweh intended family? Does that change the perspective? Maybe gives an example and an understanding, and then an explanation as to why many families are failing. And I believe that most families are failing because they got married for love.
Yes, Jackie.
Minister Jackie, you'll come right after this. But because I'm really curious, because Adam and Isha, they didn't love each other.
Wow. Okay.
That got my mind wondering.
Partnership.
It's about I don't know who said it, but that's exactly what it is.
Wonderful. I said that.
It's about partnership. That's the exact word. You know, people talk about, oh, well, you know, if you look at all the marriages, and we're going to talk about this on Wednesday, we're still talking about children right now, who trains up. So I got 20 minutes to break this down, and then we'll talk more about marriage later, because I know some of y'all are like, and we'll talk about marriage. It always extends us for 4 days in a study anyway. But let's talk about the family structure that Yahweh gave to humanity, and why, in fact, we may not be gleaning from it as we should. I promise you, I have to deal with every day I wake up the fact that I, in my own right, in my own mind, because I was educated wrongly, that you know, you can't afford children. Granted, I was young, sowing my royal oats before I had a real job, before I had a wife, and these would have been children through other people, but nonetheless, they would have been my children, because the child belongs to the father, and the mindset of the father is the preeminent issue in the mind of any child, right? That's why you don't believe me. Before y'all get deep with me, don't do it. Don't get lost, Minister Jackie. Before you get deep, when Messiah came into the earth and they were working at a wedding at Canaan, and mom said, hey, go do X. And so he's like, Mom, no disrespect to you, but I came to do the Father's will, not to make these parlor tricks happen for you and make wine for people who are already pretty much drunk. He didn't say that. He just said, I came to do his will. And after that, I don't know how many times he put him on a spot like that, but I know this time, that moment, he walked away from mom because he would have been subject to whenever she said do X and so, he would have to do it because there's a commandment. There is a commandment from Elohim to honor your father and your mother. So he had to tell mom, we got to part now. I must be about my father's. Who gonna tell me that word?
Business.
Yeah, I don't think it clicked yet. I'm gonna say it again. We must be about our father's business. It's been sitting in plain sight. Family is about business. Marriage is about business. It's about the father's business. So what we got to understand is that in the business construct from the very beginning, why did Yahweh make man? To manage a marriage?
To manage his business.
He didn't make man to manage marriage. He made man to manage his production. His producing element called Adoma, he made man from Adoma so that the producing element had a producing entity, a chip off the old block. He was made from the very thing he was made to manage. He didn't make man to manage marriage. He didn't make man to manage a family. Y'all gonna get this in a minute. It's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be okay in a couple weeks. When y'all come back, y'all might not talk to me for about 2 weeks, but I promise you, when you think about kingdom and not what you learned in church, and you read this writ, you will understand clearly what he is trying to say to you. Yahweh did not make man to have a wife.
Amen.
He did not make woman to have a husband. Rather, pardon me, he did not make man to have a wife. He made man, male and female, to manage his Adoma. Then he said it's not good to do that from a singular posture. He gave them each other and said, now y'all go do that. Though you're separate in body, you're better serving for the task of business, my business, if you are in 2 separate outfits, but I want you to work like you're one. I think we're gonna stop the broadcast right here and let y'all let that sink in for a minute. I'm gonna stop right. I don't think we're ready to go any further. Mr. Jackie, what you got, beloved?
Just to say very quickly, now I get it between Isaac and Rebecca, because I always thought, what, was she crazy? Why would she just say to the servant, okay, I'll go with you and go be with a man that you've never seen before, but yet that union, and now I get it.
Well, wait a minute, because it goes deeper. Because it goes deeper, Minister Jackie. I know you get it, but let's help the other people get there. Watch this. When she, talk to me, Minister Jackie, don't you go nowhere, stay right chump. Listen, while she was in her dad's property, her brother and her Laban both, Avram sent his servant. The reputation of Avram had been noised abroad. Avram also comes from the family line of Laban and them. So he says, all right, look, go back to the land where I come from and tell them I'm looking for a bride. Y'all gonna get this in a minute. I'm not looking for a sexy Betty Boop. Avram is now looking for a son, a bride, a partner for his, in fact, son. The reputation of the rock that Isaac, the chip, is coming off of has already established himself as a business entrepreneur, a conglomeracy in himself, with the blessing of Yahweh backing him. Help me today. So by the time the servant gets to the land that Avram sent him to, this is a business transaction. Now y'all just understand, I'm talking biblically. We live in a different day, a different time, but it does not hurt us to know the intention of Yahweh when it came to how a family should work and operate, because then you will now understand why your children can sometimes buck against authority, because the child in its primal state understands that it's here to do something. And if you don't know how to guide it, it seems like it's going against your authority.
Wow. Okay. Getting it.
So Rebecca tells her dad, and her dad says, all right, look, Abraham needs a bride. Not him, but his son. And Abraham is a businessman. He's a man of great business. I'm sure he's trained his son up quite well. And this is 20 some odd years that this has happened. The father sends to get the bride. Y'all talking about the rapture. Y'all know that, right?
Yes.
Y'all missed that. Y'all missed the whole thing. Abraham, the father, sent a servant to tell the nation, the bridegroom is coming. Bring me the groom. Bring me the bride. Bring the bride to me. Y'all gonna get that in a minute. So the messenger, okay. So now watch what happens next. When she gets there, she's just told what they have. They don't have Snapchat, y'all. They don't have Facebook. They don't even have Polaroid. They don't even have flash cameras. They don't even have a drawing of Yitzhak to give to this girl. So she's not marrying him on sight. She's marrying him on business prowess. I know. I know. I know.
That makes a lot of sense.
I know. I know. She's marrying him on business prowess. She doesn't even marry him on what he said. She marries him on the fact that one of his servants came and told her, here is what he does. Here is how he does it. Here is his dad's name. Here is his pedigree. Go check with your dad. Your dad will vet who he is. When you think that this is what you're doing, Eleazar, when he sees her, how she's working for her dad, he's like, look, if this is the one who just came out here and fed my sheep and my stuff for my long journey, if this is her, let me know right now, Yahweh. And so he's watching how her work ethic is. And then he says, I am Abraham's servant, and I've been sent to bring a partner for his son. This ain't got nothing to do with who's got the best pecs, the best glutes, the best looks. This got everything to do with the way that business is done. This servant matched that woman with Yitzhak's mindset and the anointing on his life, as well as the purpose of what him and his father are doing, and said she will do quite well. When she, watch this, now takes this charge based on what she heard. She didn't see the man. She never saw the man. But then what happens is when they take this long journey back to Abraham, she gets near the property, and the servant hasn't told her that they're in the property of Abraham yet. She sees this man in the field afar off, and there is a presence in this field. The Bible says, she says, who is that? Oh, that's Itzhak. She jumps off. I think it's moving. It could not. It might have been still. I think she jumps off of the carrier and she strides towards that man who is in the field worshiping. He took her to see Sariah. They were married the next day. What love had to do with it?
Wow.
Wow. Spencer.
Minister Jackie.
Oh, yes, Apostle, I'm still here.
What's love got to do with it? That's not love. That's not love. That's an expectation of building a life of sustainability together with a proven track record by him and his father, and they have so much wealth. Do you remember who Abraham is, y'all? He is the man that defeated the 7 kings down at the King of Baal, the Kedlamar and Tidal and them, who took Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah. He is that man who is technically a nation in himself. There's no love here, y'all. Now that's marriage. We talk about that on Wednesday. Let's talk about children. Let's talk about children. Talk about children. So when you have business, once now you understand what needs to be done, because you and your wife are building something, the first thing you're going to think is, babe, hey, hon, yeah, babe, we're going to need some more employees. I mean, we're doing this well together and we got some servants out here, but we need some more. We need some more managers. We need some more heirs. All right, so let's have some children, because we need one person to know how to keep the books. We need another person who knows how to do operations and can get grimy and yet be an executive about it. We need another person to understand the marketing and the trade. All right, so we need 3 more children. Each child was birthed with purpose.
Purpose-driven family.
Now I'm gonna share with you what this is about. All right, so before we do that, thank you, Mr. Jackie, for your ad about Rebecca and what's her name. We'll talk more about them on Wednesday. Eugene, quickly, sir, what you got? Eugene, is he there?
Yes. Yeah, here I am.
Okay, what you got?
Yeah, you just switched me up because you brought it back to children. I wanted to speak on something about marriage, but
No. Marriage is on Wednesday. Marriage is on Wednesday. We're gonna come back on Wednesday. Bring y'all come back here on Wednesday, because we're gonna be doing marriage Wednesday and Friday. We can do marriage for a month. Go ahead. But what you got? What's your thought?
my thought is that when it comes to you talking about kingdom, and I have been in other classes that, it's a theme of kingdom this, kingdom that. You really don't force that on us. You don't make it so much about the kingdom, but yet you teach us so much about the kingdom. You connect a lot of dots, a lot of loose ends. Maybe I should speak for self, right? Because I won't doubt that they never loved each other. I just never considered it.
Right, and that's huge. And you weren't here earlier in the class when we started, because was anybody here in the class when I first started? What did I say about knowing church and knowing kingdom and everybody in the kingdom? Anybody remember that phrase I made?
I don't.
All right, so who was here when we started? Anybody?
Yes.
Who was it? Who was that? What's your name?
Wanda Clark.
Wanda Clark. What did we say?
You said in the beginning, everybody that's in church is not kingdom.
Correct. Anybody know the second part to that? Rogers, go.
And everybody in the kingdom is not in the church.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to stop doing her stuff in reverse. You go see, that's what polyester do to you.
That's what you said.
That's not what I said. What I said was everybody in the church is not in the kingdom. The second part to that was, and now kingdom has become a cute phrase. It has become the rave. It is the new thing to say. And thereby, second part, everybody talking kingdom doesn't understand kingdom. They're just saying it because it's the new trend. So, Brother Eugene, that's what I wanted to share with you if you weren't here in the beginning.
Okay, great.
Listen, I pop in these rooms and I pop out of them when I see kingdom come up, because kingdom is now the new catchphrase. And you ain't catching nothing but gnats, because we have no understanding of what kingdom is if we're not reading Torah. You can't understand kingdom just reading the epistles of the apostles, though they are demonstrating kingdom. Kingdom is Torah. That's what they're demonstrating. That's what Yeshua demonstrates. I didn't come to destroy. I came to show you how to. So we don't have to tell you it's kingdom, because we're going to take it from the governance that was designed to manifest the kingdom. You can't ever disagree with the fact that that is kingdom. We ain't got to use it because it's a catchphrase. Everybody talking kingdom doesn't understand kingdom. You can just listen and see, where'd you get that from? I got anybody in this platform that's been to other spaces, whether here or on other places, that talking kingdom, bragging kingdom, we got the kingdom movement and all this, and you listen to it, like, what? That's got nothing to do with the Torah. That's where'd you get that from? All we're doing is we're talking the same church, polyester stuff, and we just now use the word kingdom to make it look like we've transitioned, and we haven't. It's just the new catchphrase. It's the new clickbait. You ain't got to push this off on anybody if you know what you're talking about. You can feel it when you hear it come out when we're talking about it. You're like, oh, that's the kingdom. That's what Yahweh wants done in his kingdom. That's his commandment. If it's not his commandment, it's not kingdom. Stop getting caught up in people trying to get you somewhere because they talking kingdom. People talking kingdom, and there's some people here who know kingdom, but people talking kingdom, we got a whole big thing now. Everybody talking kingdom. It's the new catchphrase. Don't believe the hype. Don't get gassed up. The question is, whose kingdom?
That's that part.
I'm so glad you took Polly and Esther off.
Apostle,
I love you. I love you. I gotta go. All right. All right. So, Brother Eugene, I gotta go. I gotta say in queue. Brother Eugene, we'll talk marriage on Wednesday. I got 2 more points to make before we get done with this broadcast about children. I want y'all to catch this and leave y'all pondering it, so I can split next week on Wednesday about children and start marriage, so we can finish marriage on Friday. All right, Pastor Spencer. Shalom.
My question is regarding marriage, so I'll save it for Wednesday.
Okay, please make sure you do. Don't forget your question. You should write it down, because I know I'll be thinking about it, then I forget. Did you write it down? You should write it down right now so you don't forget it. Or send it to me in the back channel so I can help you remember it. Because, I need you to help me remember, and you need me to help you remember, because we be forgetting stuff at this stage.
You know what?
We mean to remember, don't we?
Take off that Polly and Esther. I wrote it down.
This rayon I got on. This rayon. I love it.
Hey, we have to stir up each other's minds.
That's right. Stir us up. Yeah, pure conscience. All right. So now let's look at this. I want you to talk about this really good. Pay attention. Watch. So now you understand. How many of y'all understand that family is a business? It's not about love. You love what you build. You build something that's going to keep you safe and protected. You build something that's going to give you the reproduction of fruit and vegetation, the reproduction of protein, and make it saleable where you control the proceeds. Don't you love that kind of life?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what you love. You love what we built together. I heard you about my brother because my brother is the one who keeps the irrigation going. And then the brother says, I heard you about my sister because she's the one back up at the house and she's making that little dung concoction to make sure we get the proper fertilizer. My water needs her fertilizer. You mess with my sister, I will break you off. That's where the love comes from. We built something together. that sustains us. So the love is out of a necessity to protect. You protecting somebody who ain't offered a thing, been lazy, ain't worried about, did nothing, doing nothing. If it's all about them, they done stole your clothes and wore them, and they then came back and they done funked the thing up, put their on your brand new shirt, your brand new cashmere dress, and you put it in the closet. And your sister who's coveting, she done went in there and took it and grabbed it and went and partied it and came back and shook it out and put it back in the closet. And you went to put it on. It ain't no secret. She ain't wearing no secret. She wore no secret, and she no secret. She was in 10 degrees of something, and now you put it on like, did you take my shirt? Well, it was in there. Yeah, but did you ask me? You listen, family is it's a construct we have to redefine by intention of Torah. It does develop into love, but you got to do the things that take it into love. You got to work together. And when you work together, you play together. Do you know that businesses understand that better than the Christian church promoting family? Let me show you what I mean before y'all think I'm tripping again. How many times do y'all have company picnics for morale boost? Company softball games, company volleyball games, company diversity training away from campus in a relaxed semi-vacation environment that the company pays for. They get it better than we do. They know if you work hard together, you need to play hard together. And now you appreciate that team and that company will retire its people in most cases because of how they're being treated. Family is supposed to be the true epitomizing of the business model we're looking at right now. And the business model we're looking at right now is and does come from Yahweh's intention for family. Ooh, child, things are going to get easier. Now our job is to occupy until he comes. Are y'all learning anything? I feel like we're feeling some kind of way about this. I don't know.
We're learning.
All right, what's my cue? I heard Leslie. Do I have anybody else before Leslie? If not, Leslie, you got the floor.
Pastor Leslie, you have the floor.
Pastor Leslie, you got the floor.
Shalom, everyone. I used to work with an Indian woman, and she would go to India and pick out her children's mates. She had 2 sons, and she would go and spend time over there and pick out their mates. And I remember her saying that when she picks out their mate, she makes sure they had one son was full, so she made sure that her daughter-in-law was full-figured, that they both were lawyers. She just ran down all the stuff that she looked for when she picked out their mates. And then I thought about that, how they used to plan the marriages.
It sounds like you're focusing on marriage. We're gonna talk about marriage Wednesday. Can I get you to hold that and write that down? So on Wednesday, we can open that up and talk about it, and we'll talk about that until Friday. Can we do that, Pastor? Because okay,
I wasn't sure which way.
That's cool. No. You know I love your. I love your insight. But that's the marriage component, and that will be talked about. Okay. And that, for the record, everybody, that's called the dowry, that the American culture thinks is an arranged marriage. That's a layer of what we know as dowry, which is in your Bible. Abraham sent with dowry. Jacob sent a dowry. David sent a dowry. Solomon dowry. Everybody, dowry is what it is. It's not an arranged marriage. It is an understood business that's about to be developed.
Right. So can I ask? Just tell me if this goes in line with marriage or the children.
Go ahead.
Jacob, when he married Leah, just before she died, when she died, he made a confession. And the confession was he loved her, and it talks about because she produced
sons. Right. And that's where he ended up loving her from. Now that is you teeter-totting. You right there on that fence of a jigger there. So we're gonna let that one slide. Yes. So he loves her because of the children she produced, and they were the first children. If you remember, if you know that she has the first children, her and Bildah, they got the first children for Jacob, and they are the producers, they are the shepherds, they are the well diggers, they are the irrigators, they are the ones that Jacob, under the anointing of the dew of heaven, trained them to do all things shepherd. Remember, y'all, why did Egypt accept Israel when they were in a drought? Do y'all remember why? Spencer, go.
They were shepherds. They kept the flock, and the Egyptians did not.
Exactly right. Now, I think I heard another voice in the background. I don't know who it was.
I actually was going to say that.
Who? Say your name. Say your name, guys. You got to say your name. It's the first thing y'all got to say. Don't say apostles. Say your names. Who was that? Who was that saying? I'm going to say something. Talk to me. I'm listening.
Go ahead.
This is Janet. I was going to say the shepherd. Go ahead.
That's Janet. Okay, so Janet was going to say the shepherd too. Okay, cool. Roundtree, what were you going to say?
The exact same thing as Spencer said.
Okay, so they were there because they were the best shepherds. That's what they did. Family business. Let that sink in. That was going to sink in. Y'all ever had like really dry period, like a month that was really dry and the dirt got hard, and then you got a heavy rain, and the rain hit the dirt like it was on an asphalt, and it just rolled to wherever the least resistance was, and it rolled downhill. But if you got one that has some kind of restraint to it, you had to watch the water break through the hardness of the dirt in order for the water to start sinking into the ground and a sway.
That's actually true.
That's exactly what's going to have to happen with this, because no one told y'all that Israel was a business. He was the prince. And Israel was Elohim's prince. That's why Jacob was the one who handled all of the finicky business with him and Rebekah, and they made the mistake of calling him mama's boy. But Jacob could kill you with his bare hands. Jacob also knew how to hunt. Jacob, however, did do the other finesse pieces of things, such as know how to skin. Now, Esau knew how to skin too. Esau knew how to sew. Esau knew how to cook. But Jacob stayed around to do all the fine details. Esau was a bit more mannish. Jacob was a bit more refined. But Jacob could fight. See, where Yitzhak made the mistake was thinking what he saw Jacob or Israel do coming out the womb was a refine or a define of him. So the children that Rebekah and Yitzhak had to have were to carry the lesson and the message and the plan of Yahweh and bring it into fruition. They needed, though they had servants that they inherited from their daddy, they needed children to do what they do. But the problem was Rebekah wasn't having children. And Jacob had to go and say, Yahweh, if you gave me this dew of anointing on my back, this dew of heaven on my back, why is my wife not able to conceive? So after a contemplation with the Father, she then conceives, and that's all she conceives, but she does conceive, and they have to have this child so they can teach these children what it is they do. And the prophecy given Abraham, they don't even realize how impacting that was. So your children, let me just help y'all with this, have to be some people who you are having because your business is taking off. Yahweh is the owner. Mom and dad are the CEO, CFO, COO. And your children, your offspring, are the other employees. So when a man who comes to marry, we'll talk about that on Wednesday, sees the woman working for her father, the CEO, and working with her mother, the CFO, COO, because she's always carrying more hats than the man, he can say she understands business at a level my vision needs. It's business. It's not love. It's not arranged, but the way that America put it forward. And in some cases, it was arranged marriage. There was some male chauvinist garbage men out there, in their foolishness and their patriarchal monarchy and whatever they do. And they did. I'm marrying her. Bring her to me. I don't care. I'm the king. Bring her over here. And that had nothing to do with it. And here's 20. Here's 20,000 ruby. You know, but bring me your daughter. I want her because she's lustful. I want to just. I want she's succulent. And it was all about foolishness and perversion. But dowry was about, sir, I'm about to, as nature would have it, ask you for your daughter hand. Y'all didn't get that. Listen, I'm gonna mess y'all up. We'll talk marriage later. Your daughter's hand. I'm asking for your daughter's. Let that sink in again.
Okay.
I'm asking for your daughter's hand. Y'all gonna get this in a minute.
Yes.
And I know if I take her hand, I'm taking your best worker.
Wow.
So to take your best worker, I need you to know I'm going to appreciate her. First off, let me say, sir, my dowry represents 1/10 of my net worth. Therefore, my 1/10, this dowry I represent to you, tells you whether I have equal to or less than your net worth, which is how you raised her. So if I exceed your net worth by this token, you know she's coming to a home that is of the standards you are used to or better than. And we're going to use my vision with her resource of mine, how she's working for you and doing all the calculations, and you're spewing out visions. Her and the wife, her and her mother are grabbing that stuff up and packaging it up and making it work and finishing it and letting it be what it needs to be so the world can see it. Though you're cutting down the tree, they're making the toothpicks. I need her hand.
Rogers.
And that is what happens. We're not talking marriage today, y'all. We're talking marriage on Wednesday. So I'm trying to get you to understand that the child who is an offspring of you and your spouse. If you and your spouse have not been successful, your child will be sort of kind of like all over the place and quirky because mom and dad never did anything, built anything together except the bill for the wedding. I'm sorry. Let me transition. Modern day. Most marriages, and I'm talking from case studies in my office right now, never did anything that they built together after they dated for so many days, months, years. And then the only thing they actually did together as a team was pick out the color for the wedding, the venue for the wedding. And then he said, look, you pick out everything else and you created Bridezilla. The only thing our modern day marriages today in America, for the most part, All we've created is monsters, and we've only built one thing with our spouse. And then after that, we may have built a home. And then after that, we thought we arrived. And the children come into a limited element of innate success that gives them something to focus and garner and harness their energy towards. So you watch what your child goes toward, okay? Me and wifey, we built this firm, we built this nonprofit group, we built this house, we did the wedding, we built the pool, and everything you've built, we got the car together, we built our credit. Whatever you see that child gravitate to the most, that tells you which parent starts teaching whichever strong suit of the parent that the child is gravitating to. That tells you which parent takes the lead in tutoring the child. But the father must make sure that the child becomes something within the construct, within the household, within the warehouse of what you, mom and dad, have built. So who does the training? The parenthood. Who takes the lead? It depends on what the child gravitates towards. So if it's the wife's skill sets of accounting or engineering or chemistry, or whether it's the husband's skill set of building a journeyman electrician or a rocket science or a military might, whichever one he gravitates or she gravitates towards, wherever that person's genre sees itself going into, that parent who is that reason, though taught its spouse, they still transferred information, that one takes the lead on training in that particular subject matter. Now that child may also then say, I got this, I like this, and they'll never depart from it and say, I want to learn this too about accounting. Now the other person now for this season takes the lead, and both of them are able to aid that child, but both are involved in wherever the child's mind has gone and say, I'm interested in that. I hope you understand. I just gave you so much information right there.
My goodness. You also said a lot that you are not saying.
It's too much. Go ahead, Gene. What'd you say?
I was saying, as I listened to you talk, you are actually going deeper. The things that you've mentioned is so much more with that you are not saying that
we don't have time. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm like, man, I'm looking at the influence. Either the mother or the husband or the wife who has the strongest influence. And I'm thinking, like, when we see a child turn out the way he or she does, or the children, who is the real influence of that family? That's what I'm saying. That, like, I can.
And the family has to have. Listen, if the business has a conflict between who's in charge, from the CFO to the CEO, one is thinking from a branding perspective, another is speaking from a financial perspective, that they can never get on the same page to work together. There's a struggle as to who should be in charge. What do you think is going to happen to the staff?
On the clock.
So you have to understand, as you are bringing out, there is so much more to this than what meets the eye. And we just, unfortunately, were never given that necessary element to start focusing on. And that is why people think to have a family, you're supposed to go out and just make the money. Do you know that if you would have just made the money with that external company to get you, watch this, a means to an end, your end using that external money was to get your family's business up and running, so you never have to lack again.
Wow.
So we struggle today to wonder, is the wife making more money than the man, or is the man making more money than the wife? And whether the world is treating you right with these ceilings and these glass ceilings and these corporate ladders, you shouldn't be worried about the corporate ladder. You're just there to make a means to an end. You're supposed to be sitting in Shabbat with Yahweh to get vision. So once you get vision, Yahweh can tell you where to put those external funds that are coming in to feed you and help you save and tuck it away so you can start the vision he gave you. And you and the wife should be so connected, bringing your money in, paying the mortgage, paying the food bill, paying the gas, paying the electric, and then the rest of the money going towards the family's business. Now you're building heritage. Now you're building wealth. Now you're building what we call legacy. And when you build it together, your family does not depart. The family stays together when we're working and building together. Children, they go to school, they come back, and you give them a part-time job, maybe even learning what it is you all do, watching what they go to. Give them direction while they're younger about your vision and your plan. So by the time they get old enough to go to school, they don't have to go to school. One thing we do wrong in our situations with families in Christendom, we make the biggest problem we have right now. The biggest problem we have right now is our children go to college and they go for reasons that guidance counselors who don't know the family are saying this is the next business that's going to be making money in 10 years to come. This green green energy or this chip or this app, that's the next thing in the next 10 years. These are guidance counselors who are not the parents, and the parents are leaving the guidance counselors who are not them, guiding those children into areas that these guidance counselors may already have stock in. Help me get this message out, Yahweh. And you're not telling your children what we doing so that they can go and try to be the engineers for what we doing. They can go and be the tax accountants for what we doing. They can go and become the attorneys for what we're doing so that they now go to school. Here's the problem. When we send them to school with the guidance counselor's information, they take courses, and then in their sophomore year, they're like, I forgot why I'm in cool. I need to take a year off so I can find myself. Because what made them, what is their little DNA, didn't give them direction. So no wonder they're lost. You let somebody who's not them, who has a completely different vision, tell you that they should go do this because this is the next thing that's going to make money. Everybody should go. Y'all should go be a doctor. Go be a lawyer. Go be this. Yes, we need all of those things. But let the visionary of the family, let the parenthood share with those children. Here is what we got to do to make sure we always have our own. And we can be blessed to bless others. We don't do that. Torah is all about that. That's why in the Torah, when they were in the wilderness, this is going to sound deep, but watch it. When they were in the wilderness, he told them, do not fraternize with other countries, with other nations. Stay within the construct, because Israel is called to be a blessing to all nations. So I need y'all to do this. I need physicians. I need attorneys. I need herdsmen. I need horticulturalists. I need agriculturalists. And I need all y'all to start working with that. We need blacksmiths. We need apocryphy. Yahweh gave them job descriptions so Israel would do them. And Israel became specialists in them. And wherever they went, that was their specialty. Everybody knew Israel did this. All right. So now we got to stop our children from going to college and then losing themselves after the freshman year. They're excited because they're going because mom and dad are behind them, and mom and dad are letting y'all stop letting the guidance counselors talk to your children without you.
Wow.
Grandmom, granddad, if your children can't have mom and dad there, that's why you grand. You go sit in there with the guidance counselor and disseminate the information back to mom and dad. Now, mom and dad mom and dad stuck in the factory and stuck in the corporate office. They're working somebody else's vision. They're not even working their own vision. Yes, that's a problem. And that's where we are today. That's the difference in way our society is and the culture of the Commonwealth is. Kingdom is. See what I mean by everybody talking kingdom, don't know kingdom? It's just a cute catchphrase. Something nice to say. The kingdom of God suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. Ignorant and wrong. The kingdom of Elohim did not take it back by force. It said, from Yochanan until Yeshua, the kingdom suffered violence. And those who were being violent took from the kingdom things by force. It didn't mean you go back and take it by force. Tell me you just learned something.
What? Yes, sir.
I'm going to say it again. From Yochanan until now, the kingdom suffered violence, and those who were violent took from the kingdom by force. That's what that meant. It didn't mean the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and now the violent, we're going to take it back by force. No, that's not what he said. Then he'd be a liar. The battle is not yours, it's his. That would be, none of that makes sense. Yahweh said, vengeance is mine, not yours. You don't go back and take it back. I'll send you back. I'll get for you what they took from you. Matter of fact, if they took it by force, I'm going to give it back to you sevenfold, fourfold, minimum. So when we talk about the family construct, I'm going to come back. I'm going to stop here, give y'all a chance to chat with me for a few minutes. Are y'all learning anything? Has this been a blessing to y'all? Can y'all flash y'all microphones? It seems like it's just, I don't know, y'all.
Learning.
And so what we have to understand and embrace is that you can't have, if you get married, when you get married, if you got married without a vision for you and your wife, y'all need to sit down. And that's why I am so pro premarital counseling, because we don't understand the kingdom. But when I talk about, oh, you get premarital counseling, because, well, Apostle, six months is too long, and these people today, they done already started dating and touching each other and kissing and feeling each other, and they can't take that. And that's why we're going to be a shipwreck while we are fellows in a ship, because we do not understand the intention of Yahweh's kingdom was to bring two people together with purpose. And then purpose tells them how many children to have and what to do with the children that they have. They don't just go to school because we're going to be doing clean air and green emissions and algae making fuel, algae producing fuel. And those are all wonderful things. How do they fit into our business? Okay. Do we need someone to become a chemist? Can somebody go to Exxon? I like chemistry. I like biology. Okay, son, come here. We're going to train you up. All right. That's what you want to do. Yeah, I want to do that. I like it. And it's not that they just said, I want to do it, daddy, because you want somebody to do it. Ooh, daddy like me best. No. No, you're watching them. If they're the ones in the refrigerator and they always got them science projects in there, they left the 2 eggs with the milk and then the pepper on top of it and left it there for 4 months, and they go back and check on it. That's the one you want doing chemistry. Okay, if they got these socks in their room that's growing moss, that's the one you want doing that kind of thing. Okay, so you're watching your child to know what they do, what they gravitate to. All right, I got so much I want to share with y'all. I got to sort of kind of wrap this up. But the children, watch this real quick. And Spencer, I heard you. Who else what's my cue?
Just Spencer, sir.
Okay.
The clock.
It was Wanda. Thank you. Good. I knew it was somebody else. All right. So Wanda Clark, go.
Hello. You can hear me. When you were talking, I'm thinking from a perspective of children, and I was thinking from what a family dynamic and what the father leads. My family went through can I say this? When my father had to make a decision through watching us through life, who he was going to leave things to, right? And when you were talking maybe about 10 minutes ago, it took me to the dynamics of what you've been teaching today, where the head of the family, the father, has to make a decision through all the children that you bring in, however they may be, how many they may be, who's going to be the one to be able to take care of everything once they're gone. And that's what broke up my family, because my father did, from the concept, from what you're saying. Now, I don't know, they were married for many years, and they were children together. So I believe it was in love. So I can't speak about that part, but I'm speaking about towards the end of their lives, and my father making a decision out of his 3 children, who am I going to leave to till my inheritance? Let me put it that way. And when he did, he left it to the specific one that he trusted to do the right thing. And we had to be in probate court. We're talking about property. I'm talking about money. I'm talking about bank accounts, all of those things.
I get it.
And making that very decision based on Torah, I believe he did.
Mm-hmm.
He did, I know. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but he left it to me. I
Right.
was a problem child before.
Right.
But they saw me get my life together and become
and usually very responsible. I had
a lot of things.
I'm going to help you with this, Wanda. I'm going to help you with this without you putting all out there for you, putting all that out there. Usually the problem child is going to be a significant part of leading the family once the patriarch and the matriarch are gone. We're the one that got in so much trouble because we were always trying to do things. We always sought ways of doing things, whether it was getting out the house when we were told to stay in, I was given the jobs that were hard to do because they said I was lazy. But what I would do is figure out how to do the job easier, so I'd have more time to go play. I learned that technique later on in with Miller Brewing when I went to Carnegie School of Business, and I'm sitting around talking to some guys who are doing practical grounds on work, and they're like, "Listen," because I did it. I was talking to this guy in the warehouse. I'm like, "All right, look, I got a hard job." And this guy was always lazy, so he was always sitting in the break room. So one day, him and the 2 others, true story, and I called him in the break room. I'm like, "All right, look, y'all already done y'all work? Yeah, we done. All right, perfect. I got a hard thing I need to fix. Can you show me how to get this done?" I left them to do that for 1 week, and this job would take 5 days to do. When I got done with those 3, it took literally a day and some change to do a 5-day job, because they're looking for ways to do it easier. And what I did was I birthed out of them a whole new engineering program, because they were not lazy. Their brains just thought different. They didn't have anything to keep them occupied with the simple warehouse work we were doing. But when I had them construct a way to make our office and our warehouse more efficient, they came to life. And then they loved what they were doing because they kept building on that. And guess what? I created new positions for them to do that. The previous jobs, I would have fired them based on standards of the business, because every time I turn around, you in the break room. You know, why are you in the break room? And then when I found out that we had a very bad need because we were losing efficiencies, I said, "Here, y'all take this and tell me what y'all can do with it. I'm gonna give y'all 3 days off. Y'all just 3 days. Y'all ain't got. I'll bring in extra worker. I'll pay for the extra work. Y'all figure this out for me." Them jokers teamed up so good, so bad, man. We came back. They redesigned the whole warehouse with my involvement. You give your toughest job to what you think are the lazy people. And the lazy people, if not properly diagnosed, you will think are problem children. And watch this, you will think are your prodigals. That's why the father, when the prodigal son came back, was like, "Get that boy a robe, get that boy his shoes back, and give him the credit card back." He's still, because see, the oldest boy, he had to always have instructions. He did exactly what daddy said do. The younger boy, the one that was the prodigal, he was the one that did what daddy said to do, but he also learned how to do some stuff differently. That's why he felt so bold to say, "Give me my money, because you ain't doing it a way that we moving into in this generation." Nobody thinks about that when we read the Bible. All we think about is the prodigal son. So Wanda, yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Pastor Spencer.
Yes. Could you repeat the explanation for the kingdom suffering violence?
So the kingdom suffering violence part, right? What happened was, and no, I'm just joking. I'm sorry. I love you, Pastor Spencer. Okay, so from Yochanan until Messiah, the kingdom of Elohim has been suffering violence. And those who had been violent towards us were taking what they took by force. That's why we're suffering. It never said the kingdom of heaven suffers violent and the violent take it by. That's what it says. The violent take it by force. The kingdom of heaven suffered violence. So we can't be violent if we're the ones suffering violence. We made it sound like, so now you gotta get revenge and we gonna be violent and take it back by force. That is not what that says. So it says from such and so until now, the kingdom has suffered violence. And the violent were taking everything we had by force. Pastor Spencer. Pastor. Thanks, Pastor. Anybody else just now getting that?
And that explains a lot.
Yes, sir.
All right. It's 3:08. I went beyond my time again. Whose responsibility is it in the family? Back to Wanda Clark's piece. I want y'all to remember this. This is what I that came to me when she said what she said. Part of it. Remember this, people of God, Elohim. Listen. I want you all to start helping your children. You can't change where you are right now, but Yahweh can restore the days of your youth. And if you're still with your spouse, you still can use good teamwork to build your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, though they may be so far gone because their households are in control, right? But here's the catch. Whenever you can get someone to aid, build them up in a way that you are watching their traits. Watch what they gravitate to. Get out ahead of it for them. Start getting them information towards it. Now, here's the catch. Here's how you know whether they're faking it or not. Because once you start getting them information, they're either going to eat it up like crazy or they're going to take it and then leave it on the bed. If they leave it on the bed, they're not serious about that. Just keep looking. Now, if they pick it up later and go with it, they'll still have the information. You do not abdicate your responsibility to say, I see where you're headed. Seems like you like that. I do like that. Okay. And then you go out and you bring them back stuff that's about that. You enrich them in that. Now, if like all children do, new shiny toys, they pick up and leave the old ones there that they got, though it's in perfect shape. If they leave it there and don't pick it up again, you know that you weren't serious about it, but you were simply giving them enhancement, enrichments going along. You don't go full board. You just give them enough breadcrumbs to keep coming in that direction till they get to the house. Now, what you also want to make sure you do is if they do switch out, get ahead of that too. And guess what? They may switch out 4, 5, 6 times, but you always get ahead of it. This way, when time comes back and they have now found what they really want to do, and while they're searching for something in that genre, they'll come back and find that. They say, you know, I used to be interested in this too. And you'll be surprised. Right now, I can't be any prouder. We used to always joke with my daughter about the fact that, you know, I missed my calling to be an attorney. And she was my daughter's daddy's little girl. And she is Yeah. So she then decided what she wanted to do. She found a real cause. Her cousin died of lupus. She loved this cousin, older cousin, treated her like her own, treated her. She loved her, and we all loved her. And when she died, it really affected my daughter. So she, though she was going to be a pediatrician, right, and she wanted to be an attorney, right. So we would just put stuff in front of her around that. My son wanted to be a musician, and he wanted to be a carpenter because he saw me fixing up and renovating homes. And we were good at it. He had a little toy tool belt around his chest and followed me around. And I had him in the cars going to properties, and he wanted to build this is what they did. He wanted to build my daughter's multi-business strip mall. This is what he prophesied this. I'm going to build her building. I'm gonna do the electric, I'm gonna do the plumbing, I'm gonna do the construction. I'm gonna build her building. And she's gonna have an attorney and a pediatrician. Now, y'all know these are children talking, but I'm gonna let them keep talking. While we're riding in the van, while we're eating dinner out in public, this is what they're talking about. They're not talking about Blue's Clues. They're not talking about Powerpuff Girls. They're talking about, helping the world. And my son wants to, Daddy, what kind of tool was that? Was that a Klein tool, Daddy? Daddy, was that an E-swing? Yeah, it was. And he's drawing the tools on the children's menu. At Smoky Bones. At Bonefish. The waiter's coming over and says, "Can we take your order, family?" And I'm like, I take my order. My wife at the time takes her order. And then she's like, "Well, what are the children going to have?" I said, "They can tell you. They've already mapped out what they want on the order." They say, "And we're going to take," and the waitresses are always like, "What in the world?" They did it immaculately, and they knew what they wanted. They even answered questions that I gave them, because that's the way we live that way with them. You train them up so that they themselves, you don't talk Google Gaga to them. Children are the sponge of life. They will, whatever you have to be intentional with children. You can't brush them off because they're going to find something that's going to be intentional to them. Oh, go over there. I got to make money. I got to pay these bills. They're going to pay the bills. You better start teaching them how to, if you have them near you while you're working through the situations. One thing I loved about my mother, what she did for us was she made sure, though she was working so many different jobs, she went and taught us how to count when a sale, what a sale was, how many liters was it a real smart sale, or was it just something that they put in the papers to get you to come to the store? She says, if you got 10 ounces of this and they selling you 16 ounces for this much and 10 ounces for this much, so if they're selling you 10 ounces for $1 and 16 ounces for $1.75, and you think you got a deal on the big 16 ounces, $1.75, but the 10 ounces is $1. She says, well, what happens if I get another 10 ounces? Well, you got 20 ounces, and you got that for how much? Oh, those little nuances, critical thinking, change the way you see things. So my daughter, she made it. She said, I'm going to do this. When her cousin died, she went into this is her trauma. This happened to her. It hurt her. And she vowed to cure lupus. So she took on at age 12 this charge to cure lupus. She was focused on curing lupus that took her favorite cousin. She went to school. She was sought after by every what are they called? What's the schools called? UPenn. What are they called? What's the name of the schools? What are they called? What's the group of them? Ivy Leagues. Every one of them is sending us mail by the time she's in the 9th grade in high school. Collegiate Scholar. All of these places we got to go because of her. Ivy League. Thank you. All of that she did. She went and did all this stuff. And so at the end of the day, the only school she did not get into was MIT, which is where she wanted to be for their biomedical engineering program. They waitlisted her. But everybody else, UPenn, all the other ones, shoot, I thought they tried to kidnap her out there at Notre Dame. They took her mom out there, and all I heard about was the food and how well they treated them out there. And so my point is, what she did was she went through biomedical engineering. She ran into some difficulties, and she ended up having to break it down and stick to the business end of it. So she went to Wharton, got her MBA at Wharton. And now she's getting her law degree from Northwestern. Now that's TMI, but that's a testimony. Because how you teach and train your children and direct them and get in front of what they gravitate to will in fact leave it so that they don't depart from it. You have to be intentional about your children, not telling them what to do, but when they say they want to do something, all right, let's look at that realistically. And then you listen to their conversations. We're listening to them have conversations about what they're going to do. And they have done everything those conversations at those tables were. These little children, they just children talking. Okay, I'm listening. I'm buying hammers. I'm buying Klein. I'm buying microphones. I'm buying guitars and drums. I'm buying whatever she is saying she needs. I'm looking at this happen today. It's about business. And I had them on every real estate deal I did, just about. They was in the back of my van. People thought I was a bad daddy. No, they were traveling with me, hearing conversations, hearing. My daughter now wants to do contract law because of me doing contracts. I'm writing contracts on my technology while I'm in the car with the chauffeur. We're doing all of this, and she is picking up on it because she is trying to help me. Now she's like, Daddy, can I put the clips on it? Daddy, can I put the mail? Can I put the stamp? All of this stuff. You got to be intentional. I'm not bragging. And I think I did poorly. Now that I think about it, I could have done more. Ugh. And part of that, I blame the church. Running around here trying to get everybody pray, special prayer. That's why I got a problem with special prayer. I need special prayer. I should have brought them some special K and some milk. That's what I should have did. But I did go pray for them. I'm just saying. That was funny. Y'all ain't got to like it. It was funny. I thought it was funny. But I could have done more. Now that I think about it. And that's why I want to make sure you guys understand family. When you're building a family, you have to have a plan. So what I stopped for was to say this. Wanda Clark's statement made me remind myself of this. The husband's supposed to have the vision. The mother's supposed to have the resource, right? The husband and the wife supposed to be resource and vision. That's true. But remember, the father is supposed to be the one who can see the children. But if our fathers are being driven out of the home because of the wife being tired of being the resource because the vision is not manifesting as easy, then the father can't watch the child because he's trying to stay away from being home, hearing her mouth. And therefore, he's not really paying attention as well as he could to that child, and vice versa. The wife now, because she now has to be the visionary and she got to be the resource, she's not able to watch the child. That's why it's imperative that the father and the mother, the husband and the wife, work as a team and get past their own issues with each other. I'm going to talk more about this on Wednesday. Y'all want to come back?
Amen.
Yes.
All right, I had 2 people in queue. We're going to let that be the last ones. Go. Who's the queue? All right, I know I heard Rogers. Anybody else?
I didn't hear anyone else, sir. Sorry.
Rogers?
I just like to say Yahweh be praised, because in church we were taught to train up a child and the way they should go in. They always relegated it to behavior,
Spankings,
to discipline and whooping and all that other kind of stuff. And I'll just say Yahweh be praised. I'm not going to say it's too late because I do have grandchildren.
Exactly.
And
now the issue with that, grandmom, is that you're not the one in control. You're not the authority. So you got to be careful how you tread. I said it to every one of you. Those are not your children. They're your children's children. So now you have to take on a vein of life that says, just like with Christendom, you can't be out here trying to convince the world to see your God the way you see your God, can you?
No, sir. You can't.
So you also can't now try to take your children who have their own children and make them listen to you about how to raise their children. You had yours. So the best thing you can do is try to be with your now grown children, with their own children, a bag of wisdom. And if they can trust your wisdom because of how you disseminate it and not judge and not talk about you was that way when you was little. That's why they that way. All that garbage, you need to grow up and let them see you as a matured version of what you were when they had you, when you had them. And then they can say, okay, well, mom, I got to work, but I can, dear heart, I got you. Now your voice has weight. But if you come in, I'm your mom, I raised you, and I'm going to help you with these grandchildren. No, you're not. I'm kicking you out of my house. Mom, no disrespect. I respect you and I honor you. That's why you got to go before I say something I don't want to say. This is actually tea today, y'all. This is real tea today.
Yes, sir. This is so good. And
we sipping it. Because you think as you grandmom, you now have this big role. No, you have to, that has to be given to you by those who know you and you raised. And you got to be careful. Because if they feel any way slighted that you didn't give them your undivided attention, they owe you nothing. And they're going to let you know about it nicely. I still love you, mom, but nope. That's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it? This is why we have to get back to understanding the intentions of the kingdom versus the way the church told you, train up a child the way they should go. The rod of correction drives foolishness far from them, and all you can think about is paddling their bottoms. That's how they learn to shout like that. Pick them up, put them down. That's how they learn to shout like that. Because we was running around there holding them by the hand and whacking them on their behinds or tightening up them legs with the little switches. And Zion, it's true. The rod of correction, it does. It straightens things out. But remember, there is even a process to that. I am not going to tell you because I almost was incarcerated for that foolishness. Now, Yahweh's word is true. I believe in it. It's 13 places. We have to research it out where the Bible lets us know that Yahweh's instructions are when your child is out of order, you are responsible for getting them back in line. But you can't punch them in their face. You can't put a burning cigarette on their arm. You can't take a paddle to their back. You can't punch them in their stomach. You can't throw your shoe like a boomerang from the front of the car to the back of the van. You can't you can't pick them up by the neck and like they a dog or some lot of cat. You bring them up by the mane of their neck. You can't shake them. You can't do that garbage. But there is this thing called a gluteus maximus. And if you lay them with the glute up and their stomach on your lap, and you take your hand, take off your ring, take off your jewelry, and you paddle their butt with your hand, you're not damaging anything. I think Yahweh put that butt there for a reason. Now, I said that out loud. Y'all realize I put this on this microphone?
Truth.
But you can't go just knee jerking, hauling off and smacking him and punching him and all that. That right there, no, you deserve to be dealt with because that right there is not how you discipline. That's how you beat somebody. And you stop using words like, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to whoop you. Spanking? Maybe. Or I'm going to tag your bottom. Your bottom. Very specific, very intentional. And remember, you live in a voice-activated kingdom. So if you say you do that again, I'm going to bust you in your mouth. You do that, you will be charged with assault. And your children will be taken from you. You think it's cool. That's my child. Ain't nobody going to tell me how to raise them. They just did, and you let all the legislation go into place. And the writ tells you how to do it too. But no, you want to do it your way because you are too inconvenienced, and you now been embarrassed, and you're going to snatch them up and put them in all type of peril because you're angry. You didn't train them up at home, and they embarrassed you in public. Kingdom versus church. Let's learn today. If you sit your children down at home, when you get to the restaurant, they won't be climbing all over the table because you let them climb at the table at their home. You at the restaurant, you out in public, and they're like, I don't want what's on this menu. Well, we're here. Can we eat what's on the menu? No. You know why they do that there? Because you do it at the house. You done cooked whatever you've cooked for the day based on the family's meal. And they tell you, I want Burger King. I want Chick-fil-A. I want McDonald's. Okay. We'll put this up. We'll go get some McDonald's and chicken bun. You need to come see me. Please come see me. I want to talk to you. You the one I want to talk to. Because you're going to raise a hellion. And then when they go out there and embarrass you in public, you're going to swear to God you trained them up better than that. No, you didn't. You must be intentional with your children's instructions. You must be intentional about how you train up your child. You cannot, once you have a child, be too busy to guide that child. Then you want to get in public, you want to get in church. I don't know why they doing that. It's just the devil. No, it's not the devil. It's you. You didn't do your job, and you're going to bring it, and you're going to do just like your daddy Adam did. Put it on Eshai, and then she's going to put it on the serpent, and it was you. You didn't step up and correct it when it was necessary to be corrected, and you let it linger, and they let it go. And no, stop all that excuses. Be intentional. When your children make an error, sit with them, talk with them, show them the correction, give them the correction, moderate it with them, do it again, maybe another 2 times. And then if they can't get it straight after that, and they're doing it with some sense of attitude, then there's a process you go through that. If anybody's having problem parenting your children, please call me. Get on the books with other page, and it will be a confidential conversation. Because I'm tired of going down to the courthouse and having to defend somebody who to knock their child out into the left field and swinging from the front of the car while they're driving in the back in the car seat, and somebody's driving by and called the police, and the police pulled you over, said someone reported to us that you were swinging wildly at a child in the back seat. What are you talking about, officer? Is there a child in the back seat? Well, it's right there. Yeah. Were you swinging back there? Well, yes. So you're going to be under arrest. Please pull the car over, pull the keys out the ignition, and give me your driver's license and insurance card, and stand up on the outside of the car, please. I'm calling social services to come and get the child. Those are real stories I deal with daily. Because you was taught to swing and hit them wherever, pop them in the mouth. You're going to jail. I plead the blood. You can plead the blood from the jail cell on your sin for punching your daughter or your son in the face. Plead the blood on that. There's a way you discipline. And it starts with a conversation for intellectual understanding. And if it gets to that point where you got to go in a different direction, you have a system that is very simple. So if you're ever having problems and you don't think you can break that habit of just snapping on your child, call me. It will be confidential. You hit me up and say, I want to talk to Apostle. Paige will put you on the books, and we'll chat, and nobody will know it's us, and I can show you what I know, because I almost went to jail for something I didn't write. And I had 3 judges call me up to tell me what the law says in this nation. I went through what I went through to help people. I went through a lot of stuff, man. To this day, only now do I understand why I went through so much. And you're like, he got to be lying. He didn't get through all of that stuff. Okay. Because you can feel it in your soul. You know it right now. He telling the truth. So when you think you can just grab a shoe, a belt, a flipper, a flip-flop, and just toss it and flip it, dear heart, that is literally by law assault with a deadly weapon. That's my child. I brought him in the world. I take him out. No, that's not your child. That's Yahweh's child. And now with the government the way it is, they deem the child in many states a ward of the state. And then they give you permission, I don't care how long you was in labor, to raise it. They give you permission to raise it, and they'll take that permission away from you as soon as they feel as if that child is in any kind of problem. You know why? Because your child has a social security number. You know what that social security does for them with the World Bank and the Reserve Bank? It gets the government money. They have to protect their asset. Why do you now think there's child protective services? You just learned today.
Yes, I did.
They're protecting their asset. They need that social security number later as security for any loans the government may need from a bank. Spencer, you were trying to talk, Pastor?
Oh, man. I'm just besides myself. I can hardly sit still in my chair and pay attention to work. This is so good, but you said something that made me think about the Karate Kid, and it isn't all together. You said children are like sponges, and we all know that. And I'm reminded in the Karate Kid movie where Mr. Miyagi was, quote, training Daniel-san. Something that he... Daniel-san.
Wax on,
or something that
wax
he
off.
would need later in life. But that movie also made me think of what a former pastor of mine shared with the congregation about children. And if I recall it correctly, he said that from ages 0 to 12, you are to train up the way they should go. And then from ages 13 to 19, you are to teach,
guide them,
that child. And then from ages 20, throughout the rest of their life,
you support them.
You can only advise them. And so often we try to teach a child
at
that
20.
They should be trained, or at 20. And we try to advise a child that may be teenagers, and we just have it all mixed up. But what you were saying about training a child and the purpose of children, all of that just made me think, I'm going to speak for me. My life has been off. But now that I know better, and you and I have had conversations even about being a grandparent, I now know how to operate in the place where I am now as a grandparent. So I just wanted to share that. No,
that's an extremely important point, because we don't know, and actually Torah gives you, we're going to talk about it a little bit later on, it gives you what you're supposed to do. Let me just read this little passage into hearing so some of you guys can get this. I think this is extremely interesting for many of you to get. Did you know that the Bible talks about how you honor your father and your mother and why that's important? One passage in Exodus chapter 20 verse 12 tells you, honor your father and your mother in order that your days shall be lengthened by Yahweh upon the land that Yahweh has given you, right? There's another passage in Exodus 21:15 that says, he who smites his father or smites his mother will be put to death, right? Verse 17, Exodus 20, Shemot 21, Shemot 21:17, Exodus 21:17 says, he who curses his father or his mother shall also be put to death. Now, here's one I thought you guys might really want to sort of kind of pay attention to. I want to see how many of y'all catch this. I want to see how many of you all catch this. Leviticus 19:3 says, listen, y'all, a man, his mother and his father shall he fear. My Sabbath shall he guard. I am Yahweh your Elohim. Now, why did I bring that up? Because there are a myriad of other passages I'm going to share with you guys on Wednesday that explain to you how, in fact, you are to, and what seasons you are to train, rear, provide, and just be a bag of wisdom for your children. And you have to be intentional in these stages and phases so that your children can come along in certain aspects of development, because children are sponges. Listen, a child is going to absorb something every day. It needs to be you, like the saved you, like the instructional, intentional you that is helping them understand math, calculus, social studies, English, financial literacy, all these things. And they are not too young to learn things like financial literacy and credit, or sex education and the diseases that go along with a poor decision. I trained all of mine in those things, and they weren't even in middle school yet. It's a serious thing. And we have allowed ourselves to be so responsible for our children's survival, but we've abdicated our responsibilities to train them because we have these other institutions that say they'll do part of it for us, and we think that the part they're doing is the sufficiency for their life. And again, those people are rearing them up to do the jobs their families are holding in the community. You go work for Uncle Tom now once you leave school. But their children, there are differences in classes in children, in schools for children, based on areas and dynamics and groups and ethnicities and different charts, be it redlining, be it enterprise zones, be it ethnicities at a school. They train differently. And you and I cannot abdicate the responsibility as a believer to teach our children the vision Yahweh has given us. Oh, I know the problem. We have no vision. We just have a vision of having a jet, or a vision of being on MTV Cribs, or a vision of being a millionaire and hitting the lottery. That's our vision. God gonna drop a bucket of money out of heaven on me. Well, if that's the case, you're going to need your child to be a doctor. Because if a bucket of money hits you coming out of heaven, some stuff going to be broke and you might not be able to fix. You're going to need your child to be a physician, some kind of specialist that can stitch some kind of bone back together. Now, you think I'm being crass. I am. But this is what I deal with every day in my offices and in my counseling sessions, because we just do not get that we must be intentional about our spongy brain children. And they learn so much more than you think. They're listening to things you're not saying, and they're watching things you're not doing. They know how to spell, some of them. And now they can run tablets and the QWERTY board better than you and I can. They can learn. And then we take them to church and tell them to go to children's church. Bring their butts and sit them right next to you in the main sanctuary when the word of Elohim is going forward. They will be better equipped. They back in children's church talking about Barney and the Teletubbies. No. If they're not on the PAT and they're not under kindergarten, you keep them children with you. If they're in school, learning in the real world of school and education system, they sit right there in that congregation next to you. They sit right there with you and I in Shabbat, and they grab their Bibles and they study with us live. That's what you feed them, the unadulterated truth. Yes, they will go to sleep, but they will wake up hearing that and they'll go to sleep hearing that. And guess what that does? Oh, to a sponge, it gets absorbed. And your children become wise beyond their years. Well, they're not having fun. Ain't nobody said being a child is supposed to be about having fun. A child makes fun. How many of y'all played with your imaginary friends? I did. I ain't gonna lie. I had two of them because I was bougie. I told you I was bougie. I had two imaginary friends. I did. I had to put them away. All these things. There's so much more to this. I want to talk about it on Wednesday. Have I bored y'all? I feel like I irritated y'all.
Absolutely not.
I'm still stuck on the two friends.
You know what, Eugene?
I play with my imaginary friends.
Okay.
All right.
You teach them the Bible?
Yeah.
Good. You make sure you read the Torah to them, okay?
Okay.
Okay, because those are angels with you. The reason I said imaginary friends is because you have angels at young ages, literally in your presence and better identifiable by you as a child's mind than you as an adult's mind. Did y'all know that? You're going to learn a lot today. All right, well.
Angels, do what you do.
So, see what I'm talking about? You sit them in the main sanctuary. That's right. Recognize them.
Remember that.
Angels do what you do. Oh my goodness. Very good. Love it. Bless them. All right, everybody. We gotta let y'all go. We've been 2 hours. Has this been edifying to you guys?
Yeah. Most definitely.
Y'all see the importance of this?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So even as grandparents, now you got to work your way back into the children's lives. You and I may not have been responsible enough to say, you know what? And I had to apologize to my children. I was like, you know what? I could have done better and more. I didn't ruminate because I didn't train them bad. I was intentional and I was not a disciplinarian. We were very structured, but we had a blast. We structured education. We played what's that game with the Pictionary. Every game in Pictionary, I played with my children. Matching, coding, color coding, all these different things, crossword puzzles. I played with them so they could see adults having fun, not knowing that they were being educated. These are the things that we have to begin to understand. Now, as a grandparent, you and I got to become intentional. Now, if your parents, if their parents say, Mom, Dad, don't do that, nothing you can do. That child is subject to their parent. And as a grandparent, the only thing you can do is try to talk sense now into your grown child who stopped listening to you maybe possibly long ago, except it was something that they need. Y'all know how this story go. You ain't got to like me. I just happen to know what I'm talking about on this one. And we got to deal with that. Because we have parents that we too are like, I love my mom, I love my dad, I'm honoring my father, my mother, because my days belong upon the land. But sometimes we don't give them the respect that they deserve, even though we say we do. I know because I had the time to sit with my mother this weekend. Man, I Yahweh, thank you. We got to do it right. Kingdom is different than what we've been doing. Have y'all really been educated today? Facebook, y'all let me know. Clubhouse, let me know. Has this been worth your time?
Every bit of it.
We come back here on Wednesday. We'll talk more about the children. Then we go right into the marriage concept because all of this is about the kingdom. Do you see that the kingdom is about business?
Yes. Yes.
Messiah told y'all, I ain't here to be liked by y'all. I'm here to be about my Father's
Business.
Man.
I don't know why. I just sense there's just some animosity towards the apostle man because we're not supposed to be taking stuff back by violence. Yahweh, we love you. We thank you for your word, will, and plan. I ask you to be with these your people in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Moderator, come on, tell us what we got so we can get out of here.
Shalom, just want to say thank you for each and every one of you that have been here with us today in the Preceding Word, where we broadcast live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just to note, we will be here back on Wednesday for part 2. You do not want to miss this. If you would like access to this recording, go over to Facebook at VWJ Ministries, where you can access not just this recording, but many more of Apostles' teaching. We will also be here on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we open up for our church Bible studies. And the subjects that we have been going over have been just so in-depth. Please come and join us. If you are the first time here in this room, why don't you click Apostle's profile so you can follow him and be notified every time he comes onto Clubhouse. And obviously go over to Facebook and join the Facebook family. Also to note that we are here every Thursday for the Bible Book Club, where we broadcast at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we are doing a Bible talk and learning together as we are in the book of Genesis, and we're taking a very slow and exhaustive read through that book. Also, we are here every Friday for our Sabbath Midrash studies, where we open up our studies at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we pick them up again at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning, where all we do is go from Genesis to Deuteronomy. Yes, we are in the Torah and Torah only, where we explore and discover as the Ruach HaKodesh would give us so much learning. We are an operational, functional ministry, and as such, we do broadcast every Sunday for our morrow after Sabbath service, which is at 10:15 a.m. every Sunday morning. We open the doors to you and broadcast from Facebook, and we extend that invitation to you that would like to join us here on Clubhouse. It has been a pleasure, Apostle. I'm so looking forward to Wednesday and Friday. I'm almost excited. We have got so much more than we bargained for. Don't forget we're on replay, so you can always go back and listen. Apostle, wow, I'm like Spencer. I don't know what else to say, but Yahweh be praised for your life, sir. Back to you.
Yahweh be praised. And it is to him be all glory. If he doesn't teach us, we don't learn, we can't understand. But I do want to make sure that we all take the opportunity to put ourselves in a position to take care of our children. There was a question that I saw while I was listening to your announcements. I think it was by Jacqueline Turner. Jacqueline, are you still with us? Jacqueline, are you still with us? If you're still there, just hit me up on Facebook and say I'm here. I think your question's on Facebook. Yeah, Jacqueline Turner. Jaquin, I said Jacqueline. Jaquin, I'm so sorry, Jaquin. Please don't get mad at me. Jaquin, are you still there? All right. I'm hoping I can catch Jaquin later on, if not now. All right. Jaquin, where are you? All right. I'm going to have to let it go. But here's her question. We can deal with this. And I want to touch this very quickly. She says, does that apply to those that have custody over the grandchildren while the parents are still present? Jaquin, please, somebody find her for me. I don't know if you can get her on Clubhouse, raise her somewhere. She maybe had took a break to come on this program. I don't know. But someone leave a message for her for me to contact me. But I want to answer the question because it's put out there on the globe right now. If you have custody of that child and the state has given you custody of that child, you have that one window to best impact that child's life, and they are a sponge. Give them information to absorb, because they're going to have natural instincts, proclivities that come through generational lineages and generational cursings from the families. And before they start feeling and touching all these things and experiment with all these things, you inundate them as best you can, and instructionally and in lovingness of how a human should live in the earth. And then you watch them. You take on. Listen, here's the thing about Yahweh. And I want to make sure we're clear. Oh, Jack Quinn, I wish you were here. Is she here? Is she here, Jack Quinn? So listen, Yahweh will let a parent, someone make this question reappear on Wednesday early so I can get that in the first part of Wednesday, please. Yahweh will let you as a biological parent disown your child. He allows that. Did y'all know that? Watch this. But he will not allow you, if you adopted a child, to now disown that child, because you had to count up the cost when you got custody. You had to count up the cost when you agreed to take care of those children or that child. So when you adopt someone, you can't renege on that. See, that's why you and I should be happy and praising Yahweh, because you and I are adopted into the beloved. That means he can never give up on us. Okay, I'm going to keep moving because I'm giving y'all too much and probably a lot, and it may be just too much to say overload, brain overload. So if you have custody of a child, you are the parent. Act like that parent. Be the parent. And if you got custody, you are the legal authority in the land. Now, you do it with the intention of incorporating the parent in what you're teaching. So you have a chance to kill two birds with one stone. You can probably get back and redeem time by having them come and participate in structured sessions and homework assignments you do with the children. If the parents want to be a part, put them on FaceTime, Zoom, or whatever, while they're doing the homework with the grandparent who has custody, who's taking time to do this stuff, and get the parent to say, hey, look, we're doing this so your children can come back to you. We got custody so your children can come back to you. But why don't you start getting involved now? I'll allow you to be involved. See, that's where we are harmless as a serpent. We're harmless as a dove. We're wise as a serpent. Does that make sense, y'all?
Yes.
All right. 4 o'clock. I didn't mean to keep you so long. That's 3 hours. Father, we love you and thank you for all things that you have done. I pray that anything that I've spoken out of inaccuracies or out of flesh, out of human intellect that runs contrary to any part of your writ, I really don't believe that we have, but you know me well enough and you know your plan well enough to tell me where things need to be revisited. I ask you, all things spoken in truth and your pure intent, let them resoundingly rest in the hearts and minds of your people. Anything spoken out of inaccuracy, let it be stricken from the record. This I pray, this I ask, in the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Now may Yahweh bless you all and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine on you and be gracious unto you. May Yahweh lift his countenance upon you and grant you all 13 attributes of his shalom. We'll see you on this coming Wednesday. Again, be here for this part 2. Will y'all invite somebody? Do y'all think this was worthy enough to invite some people to come back and view and get this information for free?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's been amazing.
All righty. Love you guys to life eternal. Shalom Aleichem. This call will end in 5, 4,
Shalom, family.
3,
Shalom.
2, and 1.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Thank you for tuning in today. I hope that this message has been a blessing to your very life
and your soul, and more importantly, your walk with the King. Well, we have come to the end. I hope that you would consider becoming either a partner with us in ministry, or if you're not already a kingdom citizen, consider becoming one. By doing that, you can sow into this ministry so that we are able to continue to teach this type of ministry at a grand scale. Join us on all of our social media platforms and visit our webpage to make your contributions sure. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Shalom Aleichem.